Hello everyone, Jesse Webb, TradersPro. Market conditions, bullish in a bull market, continuing this overall uptrend, and momentum still in the buy zone right here, has not bumped up to that extreme range yet, moving in the right direction. Though today's a Fed day, so could either see a really volatile day or a quiet day. We'll kind of watch to see what ends up happening there. Breadth is working positive here, and the one of the issues that we've still got that we're dealing with is this bond yield curve. I've talked about this from time to time when you have the short end of the yield curve, which just means the amount, the interest rate that short-term money is being lent at is higher than longer term. So it's inverted. That typically is not a great thing to have happen in the economy. So we'll see if the Fed information today kind of starts working on pausing or lowering these interest rates. That's been the issue. And so talking about inflation, has inflation been mitigated to some extent or not? Those are the two talking points really of the Fed discussion. In terms of just price activity, we're still in this overall uptrend, still looking good. Market has already anticipated that rates are going to be pausing or starting to slow down and lower. I think that's why we've been rallying so nicely here. Is we just the market has anticipated that. So we'll see if what the Fed ends up doing today. In terms of movement, we talked yesterday about oil and energy. One of the things you can do on the sectors scan is if you just click this date box and then go back and change the date. So today's the 26th. I just moved it back to the 24th. And we've talked about oil and energy as it's starting to climb. If I uncheck that and then just refresh the scan for today, it's climbed up a couple of points, and there's a lot more stocks in that buy zone. So we're seeing oil and energy continue to work well, and also keep an eye on that basic material sector. Basic material is, you're dealing with steel, you're dealing with mining, you're dealing with gold. Fertilizers, we're seeing a lot of activity here in this base material sector as well, so we'll keep an eye on that. Let's take a just quick look at that and see which stocks are actually performing here in that basic material sector. See if there's anything interesting just right off the bat here. ERO, take a quick glance there and see you're seeing some continuation on mining basic material stocks, and here's a high flyer here, basic material steel producer, ADR, and it's had a massive run here on that breakout. Certainly needs a little bit of a pullback, but these are starting to light up. So keep an eye on gold stocks, EGO. We're seeing gold, we're seeing mining, we're seeing some pullbacks here. So here's an interesting play on a gold trade potentially to where you have this bullish buy setup. We've had a long confirmation. So here's the first confirmation bar out of the chop, out of the mess right here. When you have lots of red and green, we want to see these first indications of trend shifting. Something like this back here where it starts to move, and often you get a pullback and maybe some continuation. That happened back here, but now you've got a pullback and a little counter trend. So it's moved, potentially. In fact, we can take a look and see if I mouse over this bar right here and then look over at this bottom number here on the bottom, that momentum. You can see that momentum was up at 234. So 234, the upper range of this is about 250. This range right here is about 140. So 250 is way up here in that extreme range. So we know that we've now gone from extreme all the way up to pull back into that buy zone. That's what you want to see on a stock that hasn't shifted. This stock has not had a hold signal anywhere along here, any yellow, something like this. So if you're looking for, so it's not going to show up in a new buy scan because it hasn't had a hold from a buy. So you can always go in and add different stocks just like we did. Look at the sectors, click on that new buy list, and see if some of those have actually pulled back inside that range. You can also go to the screener and run your own scan to where if I wanted to just look for basic materials here, and I would just highlight basic materials, and then I can actually go here to this momentum, where the momentum value, if I don't want anything that's extreme, then I can actually just pull this in and look for the max on this to be like 140 is the max, and then anything less than that, if I were to put let's say 70. So anything between 70 and 140 on this momentum, on basic material stocks, share price. Let's bump this up. Let's go 5 to any stocks, share price. Let's bump the market. Just click these market caps, so we'll get a 1 million market cap, 50,000. Those are pretty low settings, but this momentum. So now what it should find is buy rated stocks. We're in an uptrend signal, rank of 95 to 100, and the momentum value is between 70 and 140. So that's going to be inside of that buy zone. Let's see if we've got anything here. So we've got a couple MUX. So here's a nice setup: base material, mining, uptrend, counter trend, confirmation bar here as well. So you can see it's inside of this buy zone, in that bullish zone. Pop, counter trend. Let's actually take a look to see where that actually, the high end of this, 209. So the upper range of that pullback. So when you see a stock up in the extreme, here is what we could and should anticipate. It's going to pull back out of the extreme range back inside of that buy zone. And the way that it looks on a chart is something like that. You're going to get 2 or 3 or 4 days. So if you see a stock and you start to get FOMO, fear of missing out, and it's clear up here, or it's really anywhere in that extreme range, just give it a little bit of time. It's going to pull back inside that buy zone in most cases. So here's a good example of that actually happening and having a confirmation bar out of a pullback. That's a good looking pattern on MUX. Let's look at this next one down here, USAP. Not a good confirmation bar, but a really solid, nice uptrend. It's a steel producer, basic material, steel moving higher. A lot of counter trend chopping here, but you're seeing a higher low, and then a potential breakout. And the sector is also working. The sector is moving. So as we see things that are working and moving, we can then zoom in, so to speak, and take a look to see, well, which individual stocks. Here's EGO that we just looked at. Okay, so EGO is pulled back into that buy zone as well. So that scan that we just did actually has set up some pretty nice stocks. And I just simply did this setting right here. So once you have this, then you can go in. Base material is highlighted. I can save this, and I can put whatever I want. I don't know, basic material, not extreme. Okay, and I don't have to type it like that. I can type it, basic, matte, not extreme, something like that. Then I can save this, create a new scan, or if I'm updating one, I can update that one there. So now when I go in and I refresh that, it's going to show up here in my selected scans down here. Not extreme. It's going to pull in those stocks. So now there we go. So I've refined that process to a group of stocks that I may want to now look for a little bit more closely, so that I don't want to, I don't want to have to go through every single stock. And here's another a great example: GATO, which is it's got a beautiful pattern now. You can see uptrend, counter trend, confirmation bar, a pretty deep retracement, and pretty tight trends. I like to see these really tight trends when they're working like this. Then you can add that stock into watch lists and be able to keep track of it and be able to watch that. So now we've got a group of stocks that are inside of a mining basic material sector that's working, and it's not extreme. We want to catch it before it comes extreme. We want to catch it in these buy ranges right here. So a little trick there for you to be able to set that up. Then you can quickly. The other nice thing is I can then go through to my save scans, and it's going to show up here in my save scans as well. So now I can actually just cruise through with the arrow bar, and I can look through those stocks pretty quickly. And ATI, steel, nice setup here as well inside the buy zone. CRS, steel, nice setup here as well. So we've got a refinement on that process. EGO, which is a gold stock, base material, mining. Okay, keep an eye on some of those today. Let's jump over to the new buy list. Now the new buy list is going to pull in everything in the entire database, so you're going to get every sector that's in there. So medical, biotech, and here I can go to my muscle scans, just change this back to my new buys, and then let's start to scroll through these. APLD. This is an interesting stock. It's had a couple of false signals here, where you had this one after a hold signal and this one after a hold signal, and so here you go again. But that's outside of the chop. Nice retracement, starting to work. Some confirmation, pretty big move. That's a finance stock, And let's move to this next one here. BELFB, not a great pattern. When I say that, I'm just looking at the bar, the kind of the grade of the bar. I want to see a good, nice, solid bar. This was not a really solid confirmation bar, but it's still moving into that range. So you don't have to necessarily discount it, but you can be watching for a little bit more solid bar. We want to see one of two bars ideally. We want to see a solid igniting or confirmation bar that looks like this one right there, or we want to see a hammer bar that looks like this, and it's green. Ideally, something like that right there. Okay, those are hammers, and those are good additional good confirmation bars because you get a retracement and things are pulling back on those stocks. Let me jump through to see if we've got any others here. INOQ, IONQ, TDW, oil stock. Moving higher, confirmation bar, nice looking setup there as well. Watch these oil stocks. They're really moving, and there could be some opportunity there. That'll do it for today's update. Everyone have a fantastic day.